Paste. Tweet. Tweet. All right. Messages here. Okay. We are ready to get underway. All right. Make sure I can be heard. Okay, let's get on with the official introductions. Yo, 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 what is good? It is your boy Lincoln Clay coming back at you with another live stream. Let's all be one cohesive unit and hit the like button to help spread the content to a wider audience. And make sure you hit the bell icon so you can stay notified whenever I put out new content. I would appreciate that as well. And if you are a new subscriber to the channel, welcome to the channel. I hope you are enjoying the content. So before I get started, already realize Sick Humor is live streaming right now as well as we speak. And being that it's 11:30 at night, p.m. Eastern time, I don't expect there to be a lot of viewers, at least while I'm streaming live. So more or less, I'm just making this stream so whoever wants to watch it, they can catch it on the replay. But for those of you that are here, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. And so I definitely did not want to bump heads with Sick or Craig Harris or whoever else might have been streaming at this time. But it's been almost a week since I've done something, and I thought maybe I should go ahead and get caught up on a few things. And the first thing I want to get caught up on is that I have not forgotten about the giveaway, about me doing a giveaway for 300 subs as a sign of my appreciation. I still just got to get up off my ass. Simply Deep, what is up? I got to get up off my ass and make a video. Jay Wags, what is up? What is good, my friend? Fatal Mephisto, the Canadian Grizzly Bear, what is up? Geico, what is up? Hey, Geico, came to show support for you and Sick. You guys helped me get through my 14-hour shift today with the morning podcast. I really appreciate that, and I know exactly how you feel, Geico, because, Sick Humor, Craig Harris, sometimes Porter Rock, sometimes Foxy Games UK, and Ryan the Professional. Those are guys that usually put out content while I'm at work, and it helps me get through my day. So I definitely know how you feel. So again, but I will get it done this week. I will make a video this week in regards of it to, for the giveaway for the 300 subs. And again, and I've got it narrowed down to 3 things as to what I'll give away. It could be a digital copy of Spider-Man. That is if I can like walk into a Walmart and see if there's a digital card, if I can get one of those. Or, I'll give the winner like a $50 PSN card or a $50 Xbox card, whichever one they choose. And so when I do that, I'm not gonna stream it live because for the sole purpose of, if I stream it live and then I'll do it like I did it before. I'll show people an image, and then the first one with the right answer, pretty much wins. But the reason why I'm going to do it in a full-blown video is so you will have to put your answer in the comments. And so, the first person with the correct answer, wins. When I do these live, the last time I did this and I did a live stream, something crazy was going on with YouTube where, I see one thing and then another person says, hey, I got it. I was able to give you the answer before that person did, and they're screenshotting it and showing it to me. And confirming the time that they said it, stuff like that. So that's why I want to do it with a full-blown video versus a live stream, because it'll make it easier for me to see who had the correct answer at the right time, that kind of thing. So that's how I plan on doing that. So by the way, Jay Wags, good video, man. Glad to see you back. Glad to see you putting out content again. I definitely like your shit, man. So glad you're back. The other thing I want to do is give out a couple of shouts out. First of all, we'll start with we did the PlayStation Plus podcast. So shout out to Sick Humor. Shout out to everybody that was on a panel this morning. Craig Harris, Gamer Lives Matter. which I picked up a new friend. I made a new friend in Gamer Lives Matter. So shout out to him. Game Over HD was in there. Shout out to him. So that was actually a very good podcast. And we were on for about 3 hours. So that was a pretty good podcast too. And I also want to give out a couple of shouts out. I want to give a shout out to Porter Rock. We had one hell of a game. Spartan God, PSVR, 1 billion in hardware revenue and 300 million in software revenue. Failure? Wow, 1 billion? You know what, Spartan God, that's very well conceivable, because given that when the PlayStation VR first launched, it did cost $400 for the base headset and $500 for the bundle. So at $500, if they're able to sell 1 million headsets, that's $500 million right there. So that's not that's not too far fetched. $1 billion in hardware revenue for the PSVR and 300 million in software revenue. The 300 million in software revenue, that's a tough one, because a lot of those games on there are pretty cheap. Some of those games on there are free. Some of those games on there as cheap as $5. Some of them are as much as $50. I think the only PSVR games that ended up costing $60 that I'm aware of is the Skyrim VR and the Resident Evil, with the VR, feature at it. Basically, they made money off of it from its release up until now. I'm glad that they made money off of it. I'm glad that they did not lose money, but Sony, I don't think Sony is like Microsoft. Sony won't pull the plug on something so fast. Some people might feel that the PlayStation Vita underperformed, but look how long Sony stuck with that before they finally, stopped manufacturing those things. And even though they don't make them no more, I think they still, the PlayStation Store is still open to the PlayStation Vita. So I think they still support it to a degree. So Sony doesn't exactly pull the plug on shit, so quick. They'll support it for a while, whereas Microsoft, if something ain't doing so hot, they're going to pull the plug on it after a while. I have a PlayStation 2. I have a PlayStation Vita as well, Spartan God, but I don't, simply put, I don't play it. For one thing, I really like gaming on the console. I really enjoy gaming on my PS4 Pro. And secondly, whenever I take the PlayStation Vita with me, I have to make it a point to have reading glasses on me, because, like when I was playing MLB The Show on my PlayStation Vita, without my reading glasses, I couldn't really see the ball, when it was in flight. So, but getting back to the shouts out, I want to give a shout out to Porter Rock. We had one hell of a baseball game today. And I mean, one hell of a game. That game was a nail biter. And then, and it was definitely a dramatic finish. So go back and check that out whenever you get a chance. And also, I want to give a shout out to Craig Harris, as we played a game of Madden yesterday. That's definitely something I want to do again. Even though I had no intentions of buying Madden, I'll rent it here and there until I can, maybe catch the game for $30 or something. But I'll rent it here and there, and I'll definitely play Madden again with Craig Harris. So, while we're on that, that subject, that's starting to feel like my thing now, where I want to reach out to my fellow YouTubers and play games against them and compete, friendly competition against them. So with that being said, Jay Wags, if there's a game out there that you have, that you want to play me, against or with, give me a holler, man. I'd love for us to get together and play a game, man, and stream it for the viewers. So that'd be pretty cool. So that's definitely a lot of fun. And truth be told, I really wanted to end my night by playing something tonight, but I decided to go ahead and do a podcast, because it's been about a week since I've done something that I definitely wanted to keep people up to speed on how I was feeling, So mainly this podcast is dedicated to PlayStation VR, because everybody knows they hit that milestone of 3 million. And, I guess from what I'm hearing, and judging by people's headlines, I guess there's mixed reactions about the 3 million, milestone for the PSVR. Basically, I'm under the impression that if you are a supporter of VR, you find that statistic impressive, and if you don't support VR or you're just not into it, then you may not be that impressed with 3 million headsets sold versus 80 million PlayStation sold. But considering that it is a peripheral that costs more than the console, Emmy, keep in mind that Sick Humor is, he's streaming right now as we speak, and he's got 2,800 subscribers versus the 300 that I have. And also keep in mind that a lot of the people that are subscribed to my channel are subscribed to his as well. And my guess is, that, for the most part, I didn't expect a lot of people to be in here. So I'm more or less just doing this live stream, this podcast right now. And then, people can, watch the replay, in their spare time. So I didn't do this podcast with the intentions of a bunch of people being in here right now. It's just more or less, getting it in the archive, and then, people can watch it at their own leisure. Yeah, I saw the Sick was live, but even if I wasn't streaming, I would still wait until tomorrow to watch his stream, so I would have something to watch at work. So that was another thing that I was doing. I was gathering up everything that I plan on watching tomorrow, so I can get through work. So, but back to the 3 million PSVR headsets sold. I think in December of 2017, the official numbers for the I saw the royal flushes there. I saw that the numbers were 2 million headsets sold as of December 2017 for the PlayStation VR. And here it is, August, 8 months later, and they sold another million. So I think that's impressive. Another million headsets, in 8 months. I know a lot of that was probably due to some of the sales that they had. And, I know Sony had to know that, Sony had to know that when this thing first launched, it wasn't going to take the world by storm. For the console space, they were diving into something that, hadn't been done in the console space. And again, you have a console, you have a peripheral that costs $500, and you have two consoles, with the PlayStation Slim and the PlayStation Pro that cost $300 and $400 respectively. So when you have something like that where a peripheral costs more than a console, I don't think you can expect it to do very well. But now, it's down in price, so now like the Skyrim bundle for the PlayStation VR retails for about $350. Let me see. Spark Guy, you said PSVR needs the heavy hitters like Call of Duty. Issue is motion sickness or whiplash. I don't know anything about the whiplash part, but definitely motion sickness. Motion sickness is an issue, and motion sickness is definitely something that Sony is addressing, because they've been trying to let their developers know anybody that brings a game to the PlayStation VR platform must find a way to eliminate or minimize the motion sickness. But there is ways to combat it. I've said that before. You can drink ginger ale, and that will, settle your stomach so you can play. But with drinking some ginger ale, eating ginger fruit, eating candy, those kind of things, for that to, eliminate the motion sickness, then I find, the motion sickness issue kind of minor. Don't get me wrong, the shit was fucking me up when I first bought it. That was one of the reasons why I almost sold, my PSVR, not to mention that my son wasn't playing it. So those two factors, I almost sold it. But, something told me, like, hang on, that first person shooter experience, that Call of Duty, that Rainbow Six type of game, is going to come to PlayStation VR sooner or later if Sony sticks with it. So, we're almost at that moment, so. But my final thoughts on the 3 million sold, I think that is pretty good. And being that I'm still sticking to my thoughts that I believe that the PlayStation 5 is going to release in November of 2019, maybe I'm thinking at the latest, maybe March of 2020. What I'm not sure about is if the PSVR 2 is going to release on that, is it going to release alongside the PlayStation 5? And I think that if they do something like that, that could definitely play a part in how this generation of VR plays out. Because if they release it, let's say they decide to release the PSVR a year after the PS5 launches, then that extra year could make a difference in the current PSVR maybe selling another million. Because at this point, I'm going to make a guess that by November of 2019, I think the PSVR will probably be sitting at about 4 million, maybe even 4.5 million. Because I think as they continue to lower the price, the permanent price, or as they continue to have these periodic sales where the PlayStation VR goes on sale for $200, I think that's going to be a huge factor in them, maybe being able to sell another million, another 1.5 million between now and November of 2019. But if the PlayStation VR happens to release in, say, November of 2020, then I predict that this current VR that we have will hit 5 million, which I think will be pretty good. So, I mean, at the moment, to my knowledge, I think they still have more than Oculus and Vive combined. So I still, all in all, I think that's still pretty good. Again, I think when it goes down to $200, I think it's one of those things. I'm not going to say that it's a must have, but it gives you another gaming option. And I do like that, and then, and with the PlayStation itself getting cheaper and cheaper, what it's selling for 250, $300, you don't have to go spend a bunch of money on a PC, to experience VR. Because before the PlayStation VR came along, if you wanted to experience VR, you had to, from what I was understanding, you had to drop at least $1,000 into building a rig capable of running the VR smoothly. And then you had Oculus and Vive that was costing $600 and $700 right around the time that the PSVR launched. So you're looking at about $1,700 to experience a lot of the same games that you see over in the PlayStation VR library. Because a lot of those games are ports, from PC. Because now developers have a third option in terms of formats to develop for. And with, PlayStation VR now leading the market, developers have a chance to make the most revenue on the PlayStation VR platform. And they are flocking on board. And I mean, there's games just get pumped out left and right for the PlayStation VR. I mean, just like game after game. A lot of them are short games. Entertainment Wizard, what is up? A lot of them are short games. A lot of them, I think we're getting ready to get out of this phase of these tech demos when they first launched. Even if they're short games, I think, we've reached that point now where a lot of these games are full games, even if they're short. So I'm really glad that this thing is growing, even if it's growing slowly. I'm really glad that it's growing. I'm a big supporter of PlayStation VR. And so now that takes us into the next subject, and that is Firewall PSVR. 1 week from this coming Tuesday, the moment that I've been waiting for will finally be here. There's already first-person shooter games out there on PC. One game is called Onward, which was a good-looking game from some of the videos that I've seen. But I think Firewall is just going to change the game. And one of the big reasons why is the use of the aim controller. I mean, in the case of Oculus and Vive, you have to take two separate controllers and hold your arms in a position as if you're holding a gun. I think with the PlayStation VR aim controller, it's going to feel much more natural, and I think it's going to make it's just going to add to the experience. So, surprised Insomniac is only making Stormland for Oculus Rift. I'm sure, is with Spider-Man, Spider-Man is about to be Insomniac's biggest game ever. And I would like to think that Insomniac has a good relationship with Sony. So I would like to think that they've probably got some ideas for some VR games on the PlayStation format. I would like to think that they're talking to Sony to see if Sony is, will back them on it. So we'll have to see. So I would like to think that they can't just jump up, you know what I mean? And, Spider-Man will sell an insane amount of units. Yeah, no question about that. It will. But that's, we're at the point now where that's a given. It's not even speculation anymore. It's a given. The hype, everybody talking about it, everybody talking about those Spider-Man consoles that's, pretty much sold out. The train that everybody was talking about, which was, from what I've seen of it, looked pretty slick. It's just a given that, I don't know. I mean, I might be talking crazy, but the way things are looking, it's very well possible that at least for 2018, Spider-Man could sell more units. Spider-Man could sell more units than Battlefield 5, because, that situation seems to be uncertain. With Mr. Soderlund saying some rather less than pleasurable things. I think, with Call of Duty Black Ops 4, a lot of people are not too happy that it doesn't have a campaign. So that leaves Red Dead Redemption 2. So with that being said, I think it's possible that Spider-Man could outsell Black Ops 4 and Battlefield 5. It's even though those are multi-plats and Spider-Man is only on one console. Still a possibility that could happen, which I would find amazing if that did happen. I would find that to be very impressive. But getting back to the Firewall situation, I can't tell you how excited I am for this game, and I'm really thinking that Firewall, I think at the very least, I think it could sell 100,000 PSVR headsets. My hope is that it will do 500,000, but I think at the very least it'll do 100,000. And I've been, in anticipation of this game. So actually, Firewall is my most anticipated game for 2018. I'm more anticipated for this. I'm more excited for this game than I am for Spider-Man. But but just barely. That's like 51-49. You know what I mean? 51% excitement towards Firewall versus 49% towards Spider-Man. I mean, that was a given, but I mean, to me, this is Firewall for PSVR is much, much more. We're finally about the experience what I've been waiting for. So in a sense, I've waited 2 years for this. This is the reason why I hung on to my VR. This is the reason why I supported VR. And that moment is upon us. We're about to get our first real experience, our first real first-person multiplayer, first-person shooter, and then with the aim controller, it's just going to make the experience that much more immersive. Because I think the game would still be cool even if you used a DualShock 4, but I think this game is going to end up being your biggest reason for wanting to play a game that uses the aim controller. It's Entertainment Wizard. You think once some major games hit PSVR, sales will go through the roof? Yeah, I mean, but truth be told, major games where I mean like games like Battlefield or Call of Duty actually coming to VR, I really don't think that's going to happen until next generation, because I think which I'll talk about that too a little bit in a little bit. Jamal King, what is up? I think with some of the advancements that's going to be made on PSVR 2 and the power of the PS5, I think it's going to make it possible for us to have games like Call of Duty and Battlefield 5 in VR. Um, at that point, I think it's just going to be a matter of, whether the developers are going to think it's worth the investment. So that's just something we'll have to see. But I think the ability to make those games happen is going to be there definitely next generation. I don't know if they could do it this generation. I don't know if they could do it without any hiccups. One second, everybody. Okay, thank you everybody for your patience. Wow. And Ryan just came out with a video. So as much as I'd like to watch that tonight, that's just another one that I'm gonna stick in my bookmark and watch tomorrow while I'm at work. So I will have a lot of material to watch while I'm at work tomorrow. But Firewall, just you know, to start off with, this game is, I think it's going to have 9 maps. 3 in Russia, 3 in the UK, and I forgot where the other 3 maps are going to be. And I guess a couple of these maps are going to be pretty big. And and I've said it 1,000 times, it's going to be Rainbow Six in VR. You set charges, and I think there's going to be, like, in some of the videos that I've seen, there's going to be hit detection on there. So not only like with the hit detection on Firewall. So for instance, if you come up to a door, you're not going to be able to glitch your way and stick that gun through the door and try to shoot somebody, you know, in terms of trying to expose glitches or anything like that. I guess the hit detection is going to be there. So if you walk up to a door and you try to stick your gun through that door, you actually going to bang your gun into that door, and it's going to make a noise, and the enemy is going to hear it. So I guess like stealth is going to be key in Firewall. So I guess there's going to be like a dedicated button for sprinting. So if you run, you're going to make a lot of noise. If you like bang your gun up against the wall, bang your gun up against the door, they're going to hear it. So you definitely have to be mindful of your environment and how you're moving around. And so I guess there's going to be what else? I think there's going to be like another mode coming where, because like if you've seen on the videos, the characters had maps on their forearms. So I guess there's going to be a mode where like one hit kills and no map on your forearm, so almost like a insane mode or something like that. I'm not sure, but that's definitely coming. And the one thing that I'm really hoping for is that I'm hoping that they'll be running on dedicated servers, because if they're running on dedicated servers, I'd like to think that there's going to be minimal problems in terms of lag or people dropping out of matches and that kind of stuff. So I'm really hopeful of that. But other than that, my biggest concern is the tracking. I hope they got the tracking together, but from I've watched the video from Mr. 4K Upscaler, and he's heard some things, I guess, from what he's heard. You've watched Batman Ninja on PS4. Okay, that's cool. And from some of the things that he heard in terms of the tracking, he's saying that he's hearing, and this is from people who've played the game firsthand at E3 or something like that. I guess the tracking on it is going to be a little bit better than Farpoint. And so that's a good thing right there, because the tracking is actually pretty good on Farpoint. So I have high hopes for this game. I think it's going to deliver. And I'm really excited for it. And so at least my last subject that I plan to talk about is the PSVR 2. And so what I knew about the PSVR 2 is, we all know, or at least we've heard, that the technology for the PSVR for the PS5 is going to be baked into the console. So more than likely there won't be that black processor box that we're dealing with right now. That won't be there. So I'm led to believe it's just going to be, plug it directly into the console and play. So that'll be nice. From what I understand, and this is the news that I'm really excited about, is that, I've said this a while back, and this news that came courtesy of PSVR Frank, that a Japanese company is working on the lens for the next iteration of the PlayStation VR, and it is better than anything that's on the market right now. And that is saying a lot, because I have experienced HTC Vive, and it was pretty clear. And I said, when I saw it, I was like, wow, this is a premium headset. It was crystal clear. And so, according to Mr. 4K Upscale, I guess this next PSVR is going to like streaming for 4K streaming. I think if I heard him right, because I was driving when I was listening to him, 4K resolution, 4K resolution, that is going to be phenomenal for a console VR. That is going to be absolutely phenomenal, and that's going to be huge for games like GT. Like when they make the next GT, if they make another GT Sport, GT7, whichever it is, that's going to be huge, because I think by then they're gonna have that VR multiplayer thing correct. And not only that, with 4K resolution through a VR headset, you are going to see oh, okay, I just got the notification that Jay Wags put out something. So damn, there's another one. I might watch that one before I go to bed rather than watch it at work tomorrow, because I plan to end the stream pretty soon. But getting back to the GT Sport thing for PSVR, but 4K resolution, that's going to be huge on games like that, and even first-person shooter games, because you're going to be able to see things in the distance so clear, So for GT Sport, GT7, whichever they choose to do, I'm going to be able to see those turns so far away and be ready for those turns, versus now, depending on what game you're playing, like when you play like GT Sport or I'll use damn it, Drive Club. I'll use that as an example. Night races are horrible on that game. I'm not going to lie, because you just cannot see shit until it comes up on you, because the distance in the background is it's blurry, and it's just hard to see, on those night races. So every time I play Drive Club VR, I have to make it a point to play a game that's, play a race that's during the daytime, because that'll help me see those turns from far away. But during the next generation, and this headset having 4K resolution, it's not going to matter whether it's a day race or a night race. You're going to be able to see everything clearly, and same thing with a first person shooter game. Even if you're playing on a map where it could be raining or it could be nighttime or something like that, you still going to be able to see your enemies in the from from a long distance. Jamal Adams, what is up? What's going on, cuz? Jamal King, you said I'm fine racing through nighttime in Drive Club. No, I mean like not, the standard game it still looks amazing. The graphics on there are amazing, but I'm talking about playing Drive Club in VR. The night race is kind of tough to see because in all the shit that you see in the far distance is it can be blurry if you racing at night, and so I have to make it a point to race during the daytime. So in GT Sport, and I think I could see the turns a little bit better than I can on Drive Club. But boy, I never thought I'd see the day that I would play. Damn, everybody pumping out shit. Another one of my YouTubers that I'm subscribed to, Def Son, just posted a video, and this dude is the truth when it comes to GT Sport. I think he won the Manufacturers Cup, in the North American region, the FIA Manufacturers Series. I know he won one of them, and I've seen a few of his videos. This dude is the truth. This dude can race. So, and I promise you that if PlayStation VR had the VR multiplayer for GT Sport, I promise you I would finish in the top 5 just about every race. And I would definitely be able to avoid those dive bombers and those amateur races that can't race. But let's talk a little bit more about PlayStation 2. Like I said, 4K resolution, 4K streaming. That is a huge plus. Another a problem that they are addressing is heat from the current PSVR. Now I'm going to lie. McCoy said, "Can you play all of GT Sport in VR, or is it just portions?" Yeah, it's just portions, unfortunately. You go into VR. When you go into VR mode, the only thing you can do is like time trials, where it's just you on the track and you're just racing against the clock trying to set your best lap times, or it's one-on-one against the computer. And the bad thing about that, the car, the AI car that you're competing against is not that competitive. It doesn't take much to pass them. So that's, so unfortunately, there's not a VR multiplayer on GT Sport. If they did, I'd promise you about 80% of my streams would be centered around that. That would be what I would be playing the most, at least until Firewall hits. Now when Firewall hits, if that game turns out to be every bit that I hope that it is, that's where you're going to see the majority of my streams. I'll probably be streaming Firewall the most, which, I forgot to mention that when the game unlocks at midnight, a week from this coming Tuesday, I will stream it. And it's not going to be a situation where I'm going to fuck with the game for a few minutes before I go live. I'm going to go live the minute it unlocks. So you will know about as much about the game as I will. So, so if somebody says in the chat, how do you do this? How do you do that? Shit, hell if I know, because I would have just turned the game on right when you're watching. But definitely make sure you check that out midnight, August 28th, Monday at midnight when that game unlocks. I'm going to stream for about an hour. And then if the game turns out to be every bit of what I hope it is, again, that's where the majority of my streams are going to be. So really excited about that. But another thing that they're going to alleviate, another problem that they are addressing with the current VR is that it gets hot. It gets hot inside that headset. And oh yeah, McCoy, it'll be a live demo, no doubt about that. So make sure you tune in. So one of the things that they're going to address about the PSVR 2 is the current PSVR gets hot. It gets hot inside that headset, and it causes the lens to fog up. So you'll have to take it off and clean it off, clean the lenses, clean that fog off of it, before you can resume playing. So PSVR 2, I guess, is going to have 3 ventilating fans that's, going to draw that heat out of the headset. Fatal Charade, what is going on? So that's going to be really, really cool. Um, I think it's going to have a camera built into the headset, so I guess it's going to have like 360-degree tracking. So that's going to be another huge plus. So that's the only reason why I'm in a rush for the PSVR, for the PS5 to come out. The console itself, I'm not in that big a hurry for it to come out because I'm really enjoying myself on my PlayStation Pro and my current, PSVR. But I mean, but if I get the news that they're going to release the PSVR 2 day and date alongside, the PS5, then I'm going to be like, damn, hurry up and get here. So you're doing all right. You're selling your streaming PC. Fatal Charade, I don't know much about the PC format and how you guys operate, but it just seems to me like some of you guys who can build computers in your sleep have about 3 or 4 computers, sitting around the room and shit like that. So you sell one computer, and then as soon as you sell it, you probably start building another one, So correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like that. It seems like I hear that kind of stuff quite a bit. So, but I'll get around to building the PC. I would have done it this year, but I had got December 2017, I got laid off from a job that I was at for almost 10 years. So I had to put the PC thing on hold. And if I really, really wanted to, I could go ahead and build a PC right now because, now that I'm back to work, I'm working so much goddamn overtime that I've recouped the money that I had to spend to stay alive while I was on layoff. I've recouped that money and then some. So I really could build a PC if I really wanted to right now, but at this moment, I don't really see the need because I'm having a ball on my PlayStation. So, that's, I guess, I'll get around to that. I'll get around to that next year. So with that being said, that's about all I got. 3 million PlayStation VR sold. I think that's pretty good. May not sound impressive to a lot of people, but I think that's pretty good. Considering it, I've said it before, this PC is meant for gaming. It's just handled all of my Twitch stuff. Okay, that's cool. I truly believe that if Sony had not gotten into the VR game, that I think Oculus and Vive, I think their days would have been numbered. Because again, you might be looking at $1,500 to build a computer and buy the HTC Vive headset. You might be looking at $1,500. Currently, if you can catch the PlayStation VR on sale alongside the PS5, you're looking at $400 to experience VR. $400 sounds a whole lot better than $1,500. And so I think, Fatal Charade. I mean, what I do know that when PlayStation VR first launched in October of 2016, I know at that time that the PlayStation had a $500 bundle, which a lot of people thought was expensive, but a lot of them didn't realize that Oculus was $600 at the time and HTC Vive was $700 at the time. So with that being said, you can call the PSVR entry level VR, but I think catching one on sale for $200, to me, is not a bad deal. I almost feel like it's a can't miss. And now, I think that, PC's always going to be ahead of consoles. So I wanted to make sure I get that out of the way before I say what I'm about to say. But I think from what we're seeing, I think with the PSVR 2 on the PS5, I think we're going to have PC level type VR on a console. But I know that by the time the PS5 comes around, Oculus and Vive will probably still be ahead of those guys. But I think, when the PS5 comes out, what we get out of them is going to be comparable to what we're seeing on the PC right now. So I think we're going to have PC level VR on the PS5, and I'm so excited for that. You say you wonder how McCoy. You say you wonder how powerful the PS5 will have to be to run the PSVR. I think from the rumors that I've heard that we're hearing anywhere from I've heard anywhere from 10 to 20 teraflops for the PS5. I don't really know about that shit, so I'm just going to throw a number out there and say that I think it's going to be around 12 teraflops. I mean, because if they want to keep that price, that launch price at around $400, they can't go overboard with how much shit they put in there. Fatal Charades, you said there's a standalone VR setup from Oculus now for around $200, but you don't know how good it is. Hey, I don't know about that. I mean, and what kind of games is it going to have too? On top of that, and Fatal Charade, you said for it to have PC level VR, they're going to need a display port. Games in VR are run in 90 frames per second, mainly to keep the user from getting motion sickness. Now, that's another thing that they were talking about. So I guess I think they said the PSVR 2 was going to be like 120 hertz refresh rate. So I would like to think that that's going to be pretty damn good too. So everything everything that's wrong with the current VR is going to be addressed, on the PSVR 2 that I'm led to believe. So 120 hertz refresh rate, I like to, think that's definitely going to, eliminate motion sickness. So from what I understand right now, that is like one of the biggest things that Sony is trying to address right now is the motion sickness. And so currently, to my knowledge, yeah, that's what I was saying, Fatal Charade. That I was saying I didn't want to, I didn't want anybody to say, all right, stay in your place, council peasant. And, I don't want anybody to say anything like that. But based on these specs that I've heard and based on some of the shit that I've seen and whatnot about the PSVR 2, it looks like we're going to have PC level VR. I'm sure that by the time the PS5 and the PSVR 2 comes out, Oculus and Vive will have come out with something that's going to keep them ahead of PS5. But I think, based on this current format right now, I think that the PS5 version of the VR is going to be comparable, if not better, than what's currently on the market right now. Because I know I definitely saw that video from PSVR Frank where they said the lens that's going to be on the next iteration of the PlayStation VR, that's better than anything that's currently on the market right now. And Emmy, you said current PSVR has 60, 90, and 120. No one really makes use of the 120. Vive and Rift are 60 only. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff that I don't know about. I mean, I'll put it to you simply. I play a game, either it makes me sick or it don't. Drive Club, it used to make me sick almost every time, but now it's kind of just sometimey, Sometimes it'll make me sick, sometimes it doesn't. And when it does make me sick, I will take ginger ale. Now, Riggs is something that made me sick every single time I played it. You said this info was released a long time ago? All right, cool. Yeah, Riggs was something that made me sick every single time. And then another thing that was making me sick with the VR when it first launched was the click turning. All those quick turns, that was making me sick too, because every time I turn, I was having to take a second to like reset my eyes to know what, where I'm at, in terms of east, east, west, north, south, that kind of shit. I'm used to it now. I played, VR enough to use that term. I got my VR legs underneath me now. So I mean, wow. I mean, if you look at a lot of my streams, A good portion of them have been VR streams. I would like to do more VR streams, which I will once Firewall comes out. But I mean, like currently, a lot of the games that I have are games that that came out when the VR first launched. So a lot of these games seem like tech demos. A lot of these games seem kind of rinky dink. A lot of these games seem like $5 games that was just thrown in there just to give you another game. But Fatal Charade. Honestly, I wish I could borrow my brother's VR setup and bring my PC over so I can show it to you. Yeah, that would be cool. But fact of the matter, I know that you live about 45 minutes away from me, Fatal Charade. I mean, even if you were willing to do that, my apartment is so small. I don't think you could I don't think you could set, like a Vive, in here and get a good experience out of it. And so that's another reason why I like the PSVR. You don't need much room, I say a 6x6 space and you're fine. But I think I should get ready to shut this down. I have to be at work at 6 in the morning. And I'm telling goddamn YouTube is weird. Sometimes they don't, like right now, we know Sick is streaming, but I didn't get the notification. I'm subscribed to his channel, but I'm not getting the notifications. I have to go out of my way to periodically check to see what he's doing. And before I jumped on here to start streaming, the first thing I did was go to his channel to see what he was doing, because I knew if it was anybody I was likely to bump heads with, it was going to be him, because he's more than likely was going to be the one that was going to be streaming at this hour. And I saw that he was streaming, and I knew I was going to be bumping heads with him. I knew a lot more people was going to be watching his streams versus this one. But like I said, I'm more or less doing it for people to catch it on the replay, because I see that when I check the analytics, like I might do a stream and at the very most, there might be like 25, 30 people in here when it's live. But then when I come back and check it a couple of days later, it might have like 150 views or something. So it seems to me like most of the people are catching these, catching it on the replay. So that's more or less why I did it. I did it at this hour with the expectations that people would catch it on the replay. But at the end of the day, it really, as long as you get the message across, doesn't matter whether they see it live or whether they catch it on a replay, as long as they, as long as they check it out, and, and they like the stream. So that's pretty cool. So with that being said, I think I'm going to stream again on Tuesday. We got the Roundtable podcast Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So I will try to get a podcast out of the way, and do that before we head over to the Roundtable. And that's another reason why I had to do a stream tonight, because tomorrow is gym day. I go to the gym on Monday, and then once I get out of the gym and come home and get settled in and shit like that, I'm going to do some kind of game stream. I might stream Madden. I rented it for 3 nights. So I still got 2 more nights. So I might stream Madden. I might stream another game of MLB The Show, or with that amazing game I had against Puerto Rico. It just got my juices flowing. So I might play that again, or I might do another GT Sport VR stream, so we'll just have to see how I'm feeling tomorrow night. But with that being said, thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. And again, I have to really reiterate that if you were thinking about getting a PlayStation VR, I think when they go on sale for $200, I think it's a low risk, high reward investment. I think especially with games like Firewall finally being here, I think it's definitely going to be worth the investment. But really, really looking forward to it. Island, what is up, man? Hey, you came. Hey, I'm getting ready to close shop. I'm going around. I'm going around shutting lights off on this stream as we speak. I gotta go down in the basement and shut the lights off down there and shit like that. Go lock the back door. Ah, yeah. I spoke about the PSVR 2. Um, you know, Lincoln skips legs day. Hey, sometimes I do, Spartan God. I'm not gonna lie about that. My legs are kind of thin compared to my upper body, but I still hit the legs here and there. They want to adopt her here, pre-pro release. Hey, without a doubt, Emmy, I'm really looking forward to the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation VR 2, rather. I'm really, really looking forward. You said Spartan God, you knew it. Uh, don't be fooled though. My legs are still strong. I gotta dig the video up. It's on Facebook, but I gotta dig the separate video up so I can post it to YouTube. I got it. I got a couple of videos. One where I was bench pressing 305 pounds on the decline bench. And then I got another video where I deadlifted 405 pounds, 405-pound deadlift. And you got to have some legs to be able to pick that kind of weight up, even if the legs are thin. You said, when will the princess return? It's been a while. She still does gaming streams, and that could be how she's feeling right now. Maybe she wants to game a little more than do podcasts. I'm sure, I know she's going to come back at some point. But hey, the same could be said for me. A couple of people have asked, when is the Lincoln Show going to come back? And it will. Just right now, I really want a game. And, the Lincoln Show took a lot of work. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't want to do it, but it did take a lot of work. I did enjoy doing it. But, I'm doing the work of trying to reach out to other YouTubers, getting a commitment from them, trying to maintain contact with them, because being that some of these, people that was on the Lincoln Show had like 3,000-4,000 subscribers, and I'm a person that only had like 200 subscribers, 150 subscribers. It would be really easy for them to say, no, this guy's too small for me to do this. It's not going to help me, so there's no point in doing it, stuff like that. So that's why, I'm forever grateful, for people like Sick, King Thrash, Porter Rock, Foxy Games UK for coming on to the Lincoln Show. I had to reach out to these guys, and I had to keep them, constant contact with them to make sure they were going to do the show. And then, once we knew that it was cut in stone that they were going to do the show, then the next phase began, where I had to think of, come up with like 20 questions to ask them. And I end up coming up with about 40 questions, and then have to narrow it down to 20, which ones I think will be the most interesting questions to ask them. So it was definitely a lot of work. I did enjoy it. I will get back to it sooner or later. And I'll get back to it. It's just, when I do get back to it, I don't know if I'll have somebody returning as a guest. Somebody like OBJ the Don, because I did ask him if he would come back to the show, and he said yeah. So so we'll do that. Emmy, you said you want to do a podcast of your own. It's just been difficult for me to get topics together. Most of my information is from YouTubers I follow. I don't want to repeat what you guys already cover. But in the gaming, in the gaming landscape, it's kind of hard for you to say something that hasn't already been said. To me, the only way you're going to say something that hasn't already been said is if you're the first one to say it, or if you say something that's just like way out of left field. I mean, look at the topics of this podcast right here. Everybody's covered it at some point or another, and I'm like, like a week or two late talking about this stuff. But I only did one podcast last week. The way things are going right now with me, working 6 days a week, going to the gym 2-3 days a week. My son on the weekends, my rider died, all that stuff, all that stuff's going on now. So, but hold on a second here. I don't know. Whenever you decide to start doing some podcasts here, Emmy, keep me in the loop. Keep me in the loop. If you do a podcast or something like that, I'll come on one of them. So, I gotta give the same love back that people gave me. And my channel wouldn't be where it's at right now if it wasn't to help. If I hadn't gotten help from people like Thrash, Sick Humor, Titanfall Princess, Craig Harris, Porter Rock, the list goes on and on and on. So many people helped me, and everybody who has appeared on the Lincoln Show after that podcast, I would gain subscribers. It could be as little as 2, it could be as many as 20. But a lot of people have helped me get to where I'm at right now, and I'm definitely willing to give the love back. So so keep me posted, Emmy. If you start doing some podcasts or something like that, let me know, and I'll come on one of them. So, Fatal Charade, you said you think you gained 20 from being on the Roundtable podcast. That's cool. I got the most I got in one night was from when Titanfall Princess came on the Lincoln Show. When she came on the Lincoln Show, I got 19 subscribers that night. That's in one night. But in terms of one person getting me the most subscribers, I'd have to say it came from Sick, because he's promoted my channel on more than one occasion on his podcast. He's like, hey, subscribe to my man Lincoln Clay. Check him out. He's got good content. So through Sick, I wouldn't be surprised if I've gained about 50 subscribers, with his help. You say, which is weird because you didn't think PS4 dudes would be into the content that I produce. I think overall, I don't think PS4 people are toxic like that. You got a couple of people that are toxic, but I think a lot of them are not toxic, and I think a lot of them are open to wide open to viewing other content. I don't just strictly watch PS4 stuff. If it's interesting, if they're talking about something interesting, if it's on PC, I'll definitely check it out. Like that game. Yeah, got a video from Morgana Days out now. Hey, if somebody puts out a video this for PC, if it's interesting, I'm gonna watch it. Simple as that. That Onward, when I saw somebody streaming that game Onward, and I saw that game for VR, I said, when I remember saying to myself, I said, when PlayStation VR gets a game that's on that level, I said, that's when we gonna the PSVR have arrived. Emmy, you said I am toxic, sadly, but those guys drag it out of me. Something, Emmy. I had planned to do a podcast, addressing the trolls. I never got around to that. But at the end of the day, I go with it. I believe in a saying that, nobody has power over you unless you give it to them. Somebody like Crap Gamer, he can't he can't pull the toxicity out of me. But somebody like Phil Spencer, when he jump up and tell a lie and hypnotize the shit out of these Xbots or something like that, you might get a rant. You might get a rant or two out of me. It takes, Fatal Charade, you said you beat trolls intellectually. So, they anger me so much that oh, wait a minute. I'm reading 2 comments. You said, I beat trolls intellectually without even having to block them most of the time. It takes 2 people to argue. And, a couple of the trolls that have come in my podcast before, they start out acting like they're just giving a friendly comment. Then all of a sudden they flip the script and start saying some toxic shit. And then once I see that they're toxic, I'm like, okay, we got a troll here. Then I basically tell them, hey, whatever you came here to say, go ahead and say it, because once I'm done with the stream, I'm going to block your ass. And Emmy, you said what I mean is they anger me so much I can't help but fire off at them. It's, to me, like toxic fanboys, like if PS4 is your preferred platform and you get into it with a toxic Xbox, it doesn't matter what you say. You're not going to be able to change their mind. You're not going to be able to get them off of the agenda that they're trying to put across. They're going to stick to that agenda. They're going to take it to the grave with them. It's not even worth the time getting into it with half them dudes. And that's my stance on it. So it's like, you know, somebody coming in here, oh, let me come on your show. I'll debate you and I'll beat you and all this stuff. No, you won't, because there ain't going to be any debate. You know, and then for those trolls that like to come in here under 2, 3, 10 accounts, whatever the case may be, one thing is for certain, and I feel this way about it. It's going to take that troll a lot more effort to keep creating accounts than it will for me to hit that block button. It's a lot easier for me to hit that block button than it is for them to create account after account after account. So I think for a lot of the trolls, one troll came into my podcast, said some wild shit about my son, and I blocked him. And somebody was like, you know, he's just going to come back under a different name. And I was like, hey, I still got the same block button. That block button works magnificently. So I was like, as many times as he can come back, that's how many times I can block him. So once those trolls know that they're going to try to come back into my podcast under 5 or 6 different accounts, every one of them's going to get blocked. They get the message and just don't come back because, you know, it ain't worth trolling somebody like me that's got 200-300, you know, subscribers only to get blocked as soon as I realize you're a troll. You know, you said it too right there. You know, Fatal said when they get personal, that's when I block them. But if they do anything but call me a PC weirdo like Silver Sky, I'll just roast them. You know, if they want to come in there and try to have a healthy debate, even if they are an ex-bot, even if I don't agree with them, if they say something that I can respect, then I'll leave them alone. But once it becomes obvious that they getting toxic and they just talking just to hear themselves talk and saying personal shit, that's when I'm, you know, like, okay, let me pick up this phone, hide user from channel. Boom. Boy, what a great invention. So, yeah, I mean, I meant to have a podcast to put that warning out to trolls that, you know, it's simple. You're going to get blocked. As soon as I find out you're a troll and you coming in here on some toxic shit, you're getting blocked. Come in here on a different account, block. Come in here on a different account, block. So if you come in here under your 102nd different account, it will be the 102nd time that you will get blocked. Simple as that. So, but you know, I kept this going a little longer than I wanted to. So I'm definitely about to shut it down because so I got so many notifications about, you know, all the videos that people put out, Ryan J Wags, you know, sick, you know, streaming all that kind of shit. I think I'm going to watch J Wags video before I go to bed and then watch the rest of it at work tomorrow. So cross progression that people want is against the current Sony TOS. I spent more hours digging through the TOS to prove it to this guy. He fired up because of John Smedley, then blocked me. Like I said, I don't even get caught in that stuff. I don't even know who John Smedley is, but you know what, that'll be a subject for another time. You know, maybe I'll go a little more in depth about this troll situation on my next podcast. You know, but I wanted this podcast to be mainly about PSVR. You know, how excited I am for Firewall. You know, and how much better I think the PSVR 2 is going to be. So really good time to be a VR gamer right now, in my opinion. And I'll, you know, I'm an advocate for it, and I'll definitely stress it again that the next time the PSVR is on sale for $200, if you're somebody that's thinking about getting it, I think it's a high risk, low reward. I mean, I think it's a high reward, low risk venture. All right, Emmy, you have a good night. Everybody else, y'all have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. As I always say, you know, if you happen to catch the replay, give it a like. Make sure you lock the door on your way out. And I will catch everybody later. This is your boy Lincoln Clay. And I'll do a game stream tomorrow. So for some of you who want to join me tomorrow on the game stream, we'll see you then. For those who want to tune into a podcast, we'll catch you Tuesday before we go into the Roundtable podcast. So everybody have a good night, and I'll catch y'all later.